Let sleeping dogs lie. Oh, no, you get no. Oh, no.
So many, it was bloody ridiculous.
Detergent proof. I always wanted a detergent proof bowl. I can't believe they'd wrote something like that on there. This is sitting on the nest here. Be a bit careful when I get attacked. Pumping out of the dam here. Last night we were setting up a pump. Chinese Honda copy, except they put the choke back to front and we couldn't work out why it wasn't running very fast. There we go. I've got to water a veggie garden, which is under a big... I don't really want to show my brother-in-law, but one of those sort of... You know, they do those plastic greenhouses with a poly pipe that sort of curves over to create a big loop. We've sort of done one like that, but it's like a netting house, using the same sort of a netting. I'll show it in a second.
Going in there.
Alright. What do you know? This is a good stunt. Remember I showed how siphoning works a long time ago. I gave a demonstration of it and a couple of different ways to do it. There's the little tank there on the right hand side. There's the peacock, but over that obviously is the dam. We got it running and didn't have enough fuel in it at all, and she's still siphoning. So here we go, just from about 2 or 3 minutes of running it on almost nothing in the tank, and well, it's much like my Honda. And where its suction line is about a quarter a tank will actually shut out at. Yeah, it's still actually siphoning. Not very fast, but it's going.
We'll start her up, we'll run it a bit more.
Yep.
And see if it stops again, but yeah, then we'll just switch it on.
Yeah. I think that little hose in the side there is actually like your suction line for your fuel. You'll see when you open the cap up and that on the left hand side. You'll see a little pipe, and that's the one that sort of it draws in, because they have it sort of lower so you can, like any sediment, it will sort of settle to the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a little plum tree here, was leaning quite heavily on the house. So we got out a reciprocating saw. It's actually my grandfather's reciprocating saw. And we done away with quite a lot of plums. They're all green, but it doesn't matter because we've got more plum trees here than you can just about count. So I can show where it was rubbing against the house. I had a similar thing. I had almond trees weighing against my house when I started to fix it up. And I was a bit concerned that that might not be helping the level of the house. So I cut back my almond trees. I think it's sort of rubbing along there or whatever. Yeah, that was all just been hanging over. Probably should have showed it before I cut it down, but yeah. Anyway, I've done that one, and the next one is the vine. We got rid of all the veranda actually. Yeah. Flying peacock. You saw it before sitting on the nest. I actually had a look at the eggs, and they're actually almost look like chook eggs, just a little bit bigger. I thought they'd be huge, like flipping emu eggs or something like that. But they're not. They're sort of, yeah, only a little bit bigger than chook eggs. And apparently when they're little babies, they're only, like blooming 6 inches long or anything when they're babies. So they certainly grow quite a bit. They just eat a lot of bugs and stuff around here, and they get fed a bit of grain by the owner, but only really so the owner can entertain the grandkids by feeding the peacocks. And of course the kids love feeding the peacocks, which is about the only real reason they actually get fed any wheat. So they make this honk noise sometimes, but I haven't managed to catch that on camera yet, but it sounds like one of those party blowers, like one of those kazoo things. Alrighty. Well, it appears we'll be getting the oil soon. How it works with these is they oil both sides. We're going to put in insulation, like as in your bats. He's got a bunch of pink bats, I think. And of course your silver paper, or your sucking insulation, as you may know it. And then you stick the weatherboards on, but only once you oil both sides with this oil. And this oil is classed as a dangerous good. And at this time of year, you know, the truck that only carries that stuff doesn't come as often as the truck that carries all the normal stuff. It's classed as a dangerous good because it's reasonably flammable in its, you know, unused state. But anyways, apparently you're supposed to number these, and so you go like one, like after you cut the end off, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you got to stack them up, either from, you know, the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the top. But you actually go from the bottom to the top when you put them on. That's part of the way they've got to go on. But you got to oil both sides before you do that, and that's something that, like, you just basically lay them out on the grass, go for it on one side, and then flip them all over later on, go for it on the other side. And it's something that takes a bit of time, and we could do, but we don't have the oil yet. And he wants to sort of do that first and have them completely oil ready to go, so that we can stick the insulation on, and we stick the silver paper on and follow it straight away. So we more or less do all the insulation, silver paper and weatherboards in one day and completely close it up, because he doesn't want to have the insulation blown away in the wind or any rain on the silver paper, making the insulation wet and then holding water in the walls and all that sort of thing. So, but the reason you do them in order is apparently because there's a similar curvature, because it's only a slow curvature. So if you were to get this one here, it sort of wouldn't exactly line up perfectly with this one here. I think that's how it works. I think that's pretty much how he explained it to me. But as you can see, a decent width board. We'll be looking like, about 5 inches or something like that. So, yeah, I better get on with the glorious vine. What I've got to do with this turkey here is basically try and find the bits that go behind the framing, not the cladding, because it's grabbed some of the cladding, but the bits behind the framing that are liable to pull the rest of the wall down with it, and chop those out, maybe with a chainsaw, but in actual fact everybody's using all the earplugs. I do have a whole heap of, they're using all the earmuffs rather. I do have a whole heap of earplugs in my car. But by the time I fart around with the chainsaw, I think there's only going to be a handful of bits, and I'll be better to go with the bow saw. And then I've got to try and get all this to fall out and come out. I'm liable to get the chainsaw once it's all on the ground, but this is right next to a fence, which makes it real great, but I might actually let it all fall over the fence and then throw it all back over again. But yeah, I pick my way through all of this. This is another very interesting thing I noticed. Yeah, you might have seen on the other side, you can see it here, it's not asbestos or anything like that. That's actually corrugated iron, and they've tried to basically hammer it flat or something like that, or get it reasonably flat. And then they've basically wallpapered straight over the top of corrugated iron. I have never seen that before. There's a lot of funny old stunts. I'll show you some of the newspaper here. This is even older, this stuff. We're over here. I saw it before. Oh yes. Britain's growing air power. German Air Force. June the 28th, 1941. No crap. They wallpapered this during the war. Royal Australian Air Force. Radio mechanics wanted immediately. 18 to 27 years. RAAF Recruiting Centre, Woolloomooloo, New South Wales. That's what you find in these old joints. Found an old bullet casing too, I'll also show you. It's like a rimmed one. It might be 38 special or something like that. Oh, centerfire. I'll give it a spit and I'll see what we can come up with here. I can't really see. It's not terribly large, so I assume it's like a 38 special or something like that. Sort of looks about like that. Old revolver. I'll have a better look at that later and I'll work it out. Ooh. Having these flashbacks, it's got spikes on it like a giant box thorn. Ooh. Now what I'm doing is I'm getting me little ratcheting things. Mansfield Tool Company, there's a few others that make them. Gets to the very end and it sort of just goes click, 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 click and doesn't really chop it completely sometimes. But other than that, it's very good. These extend out. I can flick these off and change it back to hedge trimmers or whatever I want. And the plan of attack here is to get through as I've been chopping some of the smaller stuff and keep chopping the smaller stuff away and take to some of this with the bow saw, which looks like it's just about ready to crack off on my head anyway. And then all we'll have left is stuff up near the roof and untangle stuff from the framing. And yeah, we should have the bulk of it out, but yeah, seems like it's sort of a bit, I mean, it's, you know, more or less dead here anyway, and it's actually started to rot, so it's only a pretty tight gap. We've got to get it out, and then I've got to take it around there, and we've got a bonfire heap that he's got there, so yeah, shouldn't take nowhere near as long, and it's not really, we're going to use the excavator, but I don't think there's really a need, because it's just overkill. And you start pulling things with an excavator that's got immense strength, and you'll get ones that are going over there like that. There's some more up there that hook around the framing, and if you just hit it with something as strong as an excavator, it'll take the wall with it, because there's no sort of lack of strength. And you hit the lever, it just blooming well goes, and it'll take the wall with it. So, and realistically, you know, like I said, there's not enough really to use an excavator anyway, really. Alrighty, I've got a pretty good heap here. Yeah, it took a bit of pulling, but she'll come out. And so to go through the tight area there, I'll actually walk around here sort of thing, because there's a bit more room. But this is what I mean. One's here, see it goes behind the actual framing. It's a little bit dangerous to be pulling that. Yeah, I'll keep chopping away into this. I'll probably get the bulk of this out, and then there'll be very little left. And if need be, I can get around here with a ladder and pick the rest of it out. But yeah, so it's going to be denailed and clad and insulated, blah blah blah. Insulated with a inside wall made out of sheet metal. Yeah. It's not as bad a condition as I expected it to be, actually, having the side ripped off it. Oh, blimey. I just pulled out all this sod by hand, which wasn't so heavy in itself, except you're trying to get it around a corner, more or less. And that stupid blooming pallet, or whatever the heck it is there, was tangled up, and I was trying to drag it with it, till it finally let go, and lost its little bear on that side, and then we come out alright, but oh, that was a bit of an effort. I made little Porky here do it. It's a little miniature Komatsu. There's no actual counterweight on the back, which I find sort of bizarre. A little 3-cylinder diesel. But time I got that started, I could have pulled this out by hand in a quarter of the time, and I did. So, yeah, so it's starting to clear up a bit now, but there's little gangles up on the roof. This might be a case to clear this out a bit more and then go for it with a ladder and the lops. Oh, it's getting nearer to lunchtime. I tell you what, I'm that bloody worn out to go to lunch now. Yeah, he's busy making up some struts for the veranda posts around the other side. I'll be able to hear all the abrasive cut-off wheel and that going right now. But yeah. Okay. This vine is crazy. I've been trying to pull the roots up. Those are your roots that are inside where the house is. Goes right up there, underneath all the stumps. And then I just lopped it just before. She's outside there, comes back down here, right down here, a few bits underground. This bit was attached to it, and right up to here. So the thing, right back and then right back under again, with the roots that come right down basically under these stumps here. Like a big blooming loop. Gives it enough to grow a few leaves and whatnot. Stuff's blooming crazy. But anyway, maybe the first time I've been pulling roots up for something else. I've sort of done that a little bit with the box thorns just lately. You notice there'll be a little sprig there and then another one. And then another one, and you realise they're going in a line, and then you realise it's actually a whole root that's had shoots coming up. But this stuff I think is reasonably easy to defeat. And I'm working on trying to defeat it. There's still some large ones around here and there. Like this I think's alive, and there's another one like this around the other side where the really big chunk was. Which I think may be dead, but I'll drill it and see if it's moist inside. It just doesn't end. Another piece here. Right underneath the flaming house. Look at the blooming length of it. That was part of the other one. It was originally just sitting in here a minute ago. I thought this was loose before it goes to the other side of the house where we've ripped the veranda out. Yeah, he's vigorous. All up here and where the ceiling space was. Yeah, fortunately, because of the floor in this room here, I mean, it's got a lot of doors and there's actually a whole bunch of windows up the other end there, but I can sort of stand on these old weatherboards, or whatever it is, internal palings or whatever there, and get a bit of height up to attack all this stuff, you know, without too big a deal, and at least release it from the framing sort of thing, which I'd done just before. But yeah, I'm looking at old boot. Actually, there's another old boot over in the stack of them, and what's his name's there? Stack of stones over there. Could be the other one too. I have to get a ladder out and I'll have a go at all this here. Oh, sun's really warming up. Pretty cloudless sort of day. Alrighty. Well, we've been up there snipping her and away. We've done quite well. I'm going to try and come from the inside now because I expect I've got that sorted. And if I work, a lot of these ones where I've clipped them up against that sheet metal sort of wall. And yeah, now if I get in and pull from the insides, I'll get rid of most of them. I'm going to try and pick through this stuff. I might try and get the ladder actually up on that floor in there, and then I'll easily be able to get up in the roof space area there and have a go at it. The kids are out playing on the water slide at the moment. It's almost lunchtime, but I found another big root over that side, which I was shown was under the veranda floor that we're pulling up, the same one with all the 1950 newspapers on it. And I'm sort of seeing what bits are in the ground and whatnot, so I might get the axe and beat it through one bit that's sort of where the root actually enters the ground after laying on the ground. So yeah. I've gone pretty flaming well. I knew it would. I knew it wouldn't take long to get through because I've done all this sort of stuff when I had my own business. I used to do this sort of stuff, you know, and I haven't dealt with sort of cleaning up my uncle's place and box sawings and that. You tend to get an idea how long it takes, but box sawing's a bit different because of the ridiculous amount of prickles and your desperation not to get stabbed through the thumb, whereas this doesn't sort of matter that much. So she's come out pretty quick. It's a bit hard to see it here. I'll try and put it in the sun. There you go. How's that? How is that? The top half's sort of dead. The bottom half's still alive. That's your difference between your darker wood and your lighter wood that you can see through the light there. It's just sort of coils like your circles. They're very thick and very big. So they're too bright or too dark at the moment. There you go. You see you still get your rings. It's like the bottom is alive and the top's dead, even though the rings go through both areas. Now that's a flippin' whopper. Put that down on the ground, give you an idea. Look against the size of my foot there. Size 12 British, size 13 US boots. And man, look at it. Head of the axe head. Yeah, that'll help. Very soft, spongy, crap-looking wood. Nothing you put in the fire. Yeah, blimey, it is spongy-looking rubbish. I can tell by the fibres that are broken off when he's gone through this with the chainsaw or something previously. But yeah, it's reasonably easy to get through it, actually. This other one here that I've got to get out. We're back on the side without the veranda again. Now, I've noticed a few of these. There's just a lane here, and you got like flipping root here, another root here, another root here, and it sort of goes into more or less two bits here. Now, one of the little tricks of building is to understand the physics of the way things, where your pivot points are and stuff like that, and understand a bit of general physics. You may say, how am I going to pick what roots are out digging in the ground? I'm going to think about this. If I stand on this end and watch where it flexes up, so that side's, you probably barely see it, but as I jump on it, that side's going up and down. I've got my foot bouncing on the end, and I can sort of pick where the pivot point is, and pretty much either here or here, but seeing there's a bulge on there, it's probably right there. There's another one, so I'll slam into that, and I should be pretty clear. Otherwise, I'll keep stand on it and work out where the next pivot point is, and that'll be where the next root goes through the ground. It's little things like this that make it so much easier. When you understand physics, it doesn't become an endless slog, because you can work out your points of attack. So yeah, this neighbour's kids with motorbikes there. Apparently these love the, I always seem to be sitting here. I think it's a shade, to be honest, but apparently they love the look of their own reflection. And, well, with a sliding door and a few windows, it keeps turning up on here. These things will sit on your car and shit all over your bonnet too, and by hell do they shit. As you could imagine, if you've owned turkeys or something, you'd know. But, yeah, I look at it as basically a turkey with nice feathers. I've been thinking of getting one myself, as I mentioned before, and when I said that to my sister, well, they said, oh, neighbours will have one in your car before you leave if you don't watch it. And I'll get them very cheap, apparently. The husband would be happy to see some go. Anyway, I have to open said car here, and I've now got the ladder on the floor, so I'll get out my secateurs. There's my secateurs. Lemon plasterer's hawk, never even got the thing opened. That was only $15 anyway, that. Oh yeah. These are almost 10 years old. Oh, when I get that out of the thing, you can read that and weep, if you can even see it. You should be able to see it now, because I can. Swiss made. These aren't Chinese made, these are made in Switzerland. And let me tell you, these have had a lot of use and they go like hell. Yeah. These cost about $150, and I think they're around that price still. They went down to about 125 at one point, I think, but I'm going to get up there in the roof space and go snippety snip with these ones. There's nice and close here to the barbecue. What we've got to do is just get the right angle shot with a 12 gauge, and we'll just get it straight from the ground, straight on the barbecue. That'll be it. It'll be like fried turkey. These can outrun the dogs quite easily. The only time I lost one to a fox was when it was sitting on the nest, trying to protect the eggs. And that's the only time a fox has actually got one of these. But oh yeah, I'll show you this. Olive trees. We've got quite a number of olive trees around where we are, and a lot of people, few people who've got vineyards also decide to put in olives, and some have just got olive groves, but you get these overpriced olives and olive oil locally, but you pay for it because, you know, they're all trying to have gourmet wine and they're all trying to have gourmet olives, and there's only a certain amount of market that's gourmet, and quite frankly, some of the wine where I am, one of it is a world, like one worldwide awards, one of the ones near me, but the vast majority of them, it's just horse piss and they're trying to sell it like it's gourmet. But anyway, there's some small olives here, and this is, my sister's not trying to sell it because she's only got 2 trees when they're actually given a 3rd one for Christmas. So let me just forming small olives here. If you know an East European, they can explain several different methods, and I know of at least 2 different methods of how to preserve olives. One that uses brine, another one that uses actual olive oil to soak it in, which is a nicer method that the Hungarian manager at the vineyard told me about. Yeah. Anyway, I better get back to attacking the zombie vine. Oh, I'm up on top of the world here, and we've got a nice little bit here that goes over the top of the rafter. Oh, you can't see it because this camera's been useless. Goes over the top of the rafter there and back underneath, and comes out down there. Fantastic. So I've got a cut between this beam here and the rafter in the 3.5 inch gap. Yeah, that was pretty good. I decided to get the bow saw in, and the bow saw, well, it kept hitting the roof, and honestly, I don't know how you're supposed to start a cut successfully with a bow saw. If it's close up, you can easily start a cut with a bow saw. If it's a long way away, it's just about as good as a cheese grater, because all it does is just swirl around and scrape the surface. So that wasn't going to work. And these here, you know, grand old ratcheting mechanism, clickety click, 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 and do nothing really. I couldn't really get it to seem to happen. I shortened the handle, still wasn't going to flame and happen. And the lead doesn't come out here for the reciprocating saw. And seeing I'm standing on the lever, which is sort of sitting on other stuff, and I'm pretty high up, I am not going to use a chainsaw in this roof space. And you don't really want to hit a chainsaw against a steel roof either. But I'm not leaning over with a flaming chainsaw. So at the end of the day, it was the old hand saw that's done the job, and I'm literally about 1/4 inch off going right through that, and I thought I'd better film it before the whole shebang just falls on the ground there. Oh, that's a better look at it now, yeah. Anyway, I'll finish that off and we'll get that out. I've got out a lot of the stuff up in the roof space. Hang on, I almost dropped the camera. And yeah, got a lot of that stuff out without a problem actually. Yeah, I've got to get me ladder and sort of probably go over this side of the room here and just finish up some of the little ones over there as well. Alrighty, here we go. All done with about an hour and a half's work. I've still got to put away a bit of the sticks, as you can see, on the bonfire heap where they're supposed to go. It's, yeah, have to pull out the nails before we obviously put more cladding on, but all done in about an hour and a half with only about 2 minutes of procrastination, planning. Yeah, I'll go stack that on the bonfire. Just gives you an idea of the sort of crap you get on your bonnet from the glorified turkey or whatever those things are again, peacock. Some of it's come off, obviously, it's scraped a bit off, but man, those things can crap. Alrighty, just got one last lame bit there to get done. Oh, God, blimey, it's getting hot. Yeah, that's just lovely old slab stuff. This is more or less done with an axe, or a, well, you could almost do it with a wood splitter. I haven't got any of this in my house, but it's intriguing. But there are some things, this is only just like basically your wall palings, but there is a barn very close to this, and I might have to get permission to ask to film there, because it's the neighbour's barn, where they have actual uprights like this, and I'm not joking, they are seriously like 3-inch thick slabs, as they call them, made, where they've been basically split down amongst the grain, as uprights that are just bump, 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 bump all the way along, and that is your wall in this barn. And, well, actually, it's that barn there, but I'll have to ask about that. Anyway, we have a few rabbit hole problems. Instead of one there going under the fence, no big deal. But I don't know if I showed this before. Look, the blooming bottom plate of the house is there. It's a bloody one right here. So we're going to have to get the excavator in and try and collapse it in and fill it in with dirt, and maybe even bang it with a bucket to compact it a bit before we do any stumps again here. And yeah, this is... I'm not going to show it from afar, but let's just say this is a hell of a lean. And we've got to work all that out. Unfortunately, a couple of the panes fell out of the louvers here, which isn't so good. But, yeah. Anyways, yeah, there's the other one that I showed that the dogs are digging into. Really, a lot of these we should go and fill them up. And, oh, that looks like there might be one there. God, blimey. Yeah, that's what happens. A lot of old houses are like that. You tend to end up with your stupid blooming rabbits digging into the stumps and around the stumps. Where I was at that vineyard, there was a cottage there that was the original house, and that had real problems with stumps going down due to rabbit holes being under it. And also the vineyard my father was at, his boss's house, same thing. And this house, same thing. Tends to be a bit of a thing of old country houses that you have a lot of troubles with blasted rabbit holes, because, this is sort of a, they're sort of protected from the dogs when there's actually a veranda over the top of it, and you just tend to get heaps of rabbits around these old buildings and stuff like that, because we're out in the country where all the rabbits get stuck into the grass. And actually, from time to time, the dogs will actually chase one across the paddock. You'll be mucking around with a plum tree, and the dogs go flying past with this rabbit in front of them. Some they get, some they don't. But yeah. I completed the boring task of pulling out all the nails here. I couldn't get the ones right at the top. But apparently he's got scaffolding, so I thought that's what I saw in the shed, and apparently, yeah, that's scaffolding, so we're going to set it up to get up to there when need be. Some of these nails, they are ridiculously tight, and even though these old school ones, they sort of, they cut a, no, he knows the exact name, a little finger almost like the size of your thumb, or bigger sometimes, that goes through to give it a bit of grip against the bottom. Exactly with this one here. Not much light, but you can probably see the piece there in front of the dirt there. That'll come right out through like that. Now they don't do that anymore these days. They just have noggins, and that sort of takes care of a lot of that. But some of these you've got to pull so exceedingly hard, you think you're actually going to break that bit of wood at the bottom that's holding it into this piece, which is your bottom plate or your bearer. So some of them have to get the angle grinder out and play nippity nip-offs. I'm glad I brought the cordless angle grinder with me, because it's been quite handy doing that. It's got quite a bit of use doing that, actually. So just different little things where we're going to demolish something or pull something apart or whatever, and then had to, you know, basically the only thing that was stopping us was some monster big old school nail that had been slammed in, or two big nails, and then you just sort of nip them off, and then away you go again, sort of thing, and everything would work. But so it's coming exceedingly handy. They call the single grinder. I'm flaming happy I bought it. He's actually got his own Milwaukee one as well, but yeah. After a lot of bullshit, this was basically supposed to come before Christmas, and they said, oh, we'd only get it here by Friday, and then they said, no, actually we're going to get it here, and he said, we'll ring an hour before, so we've got enough of a chance to, at least half an hour before, so we can get there in time. And no, they just rang when they're already there. So he told them, damn it, you're going to wait, and I'm going to come and get this. So yeah, finally picked it up, so now we can get on with doing the oiling. And I think this might only be one of the drums. I think there's a couple of drums of it. And get on with what we have to do in regards to all the oiling of the weatherboards. Then we can go pink bed insulation, silver paper, and then whack the stuff on. And yeah, just check the last few nails, and there's a bit of dust and cobwebs and rubbish on some of the studs, so I'll try and clear that off as well. And then we should be able to work on that side where we replaced all your bottom bearer there, the great big bottom plate all along that one side. But yeah, he's got his priority list all worked out, so yeah, so there we go.